Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, Fan-Sided, Daily DDT. My man, how you doing?
Doing great, brother. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. We're taping this live on Friday, June 21st. SmackDown will be tonight. You can follow Graham Matthews on Twitter, X at WrestleRant. Find myself, Rainy J. Cruz, Rendy, the letter J C R U Z on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. YouTube.com/Cruise Control Podcast, which we are live now. Give a thumbs up, comment, download, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. We are live now on Twitter and YouTube. So if you want to get a question in or feedback, hit us up in the chat and we'll read it on the air. So Graham Matthews, a lot of stuff going on in the world of professional wrestling the last couple of days. We got a Seth Rollins return. We had Clash at the Castle. We had the Wyatt Sicks debut. We had a lot of stuff going on. So where do you want to start?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to start?
I would say let's start with Clash, since that was the oldest thing as of right now, as of when we're speaking. So we could start with Clash from last weekend.
Okay, so I caught up on Clash. I did not see it live. I caught up on Clash last night. I did not get to the main event, but to that part, I thought a pretty decent show. The crowd was amazing. It was very weird to see the world title match go on first. Cody Rhodes and AJ, because in if that was Roman Reigns, he ain't going first, but that's your guy.
No, he's not. Yeah,
Roman's never going first, but I do get that the main event was for Drew and Scotland, and they're gonna lead into CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, hopefully at SummerSlam. But for the most part, good match between AJ. I did not like how the match ended. Like AJ just said, "Oh, I quit. Like that's the only part that kind of got me a little triggered. We got new women's tag team champions. I'm shocked about that. Jade and Bianca are no longer tag champions, and they belong to is Fire and who's the other girl?
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
All right, I got to get used to those two. Still Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, and still World Women's Champion Bayley. So, still champion Damian Priest on the World Heavyweight Championship side for Monday Night Raw. So, where do you want to start recapping Clash at the Castle?
I would say start from the start. Cody and AJ, I Quit match, WWE Championship, which I thought was an overall very good match. I didn't mind the finish. Cody about to hit AJ with the steel steps. AJ quits before he can. Cody does it anyway. Maybe planting the seeds for a future heel turn. Maybe not anytime soon. I don't think they should do it anytime soon, but maybe the little, bits and pieces of that inner evil Cody. At the same time, I mean, I guess you could justify why he would have done that. He got in Cody Rhodes' mom's face multiple times, who also slapped AJ at ringside during that match. But overall, I thought it was a great piece of business. And not only the match itself, but coming out of the match, immediately afterward, we found out Solo Sikoa is next in line for an opportunity. I mean, basically all but confirming it. We'll find out officially tonight, I would imagine. But per Meltzer, anyway, and again, this is merely speculation as of right now. He's very hit or miss, obviously, with some of this stuff. But it looks like Cody and Solo is the end game, I guess, for SummerSlam for the championship, which Money in the Bank, with that coming up in 2 weeks, it looks like on that show it's going to be a 6-man tag team match. Cody, Orton, Owens versus the Bloodline, Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. So it looks like that's where we're going with it. Solo and Cody, to me, is not a SummerSlam worthy match. I was hoping for Cody and Orton, but it doesn't look like they're going in that direction.
So Cody and Solo on the path for SummerSlam, and I was doing the tweet just now. So you're saying for Money in the Bank is probably the 6-man tag match, right? You said
it looks like it, yeah. That looks like the direction they're going in. We'll find out obviously more on SmackDown tonight, but it looks like they set up that 6-man tag team match for Money in the Bank in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I also did see that there's the rumor was that the company filed for a trademark for maybe Solo's new name. I think it's Caesar Sikoa, some shit.
I saw
like
that. Yeah, Caesar Sikoa. Yeah, I mean, I could see that being a nickname. I saw some people saying maybe that's going to be Jacob Fatu's name when he comes in. I mean, he's already in the company. It's more about when they incorporate him into the story. I guess, but I mean, him and Solo, I mean, I don't think they're brothers. I don't know. I don't really see the need to change his name to Caesar Sikoa. Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga got to keep their names. I don't know why you would change Jacob Fatu's name. If they want to call Solo Caesar Solo, I mean, maybe not change his name, but use it as a nickname. That's
Yeah.
fine. Because he is kind of like the new tribal chief in the absence of Roman Reigns. That also tells me that Roman Reigns will not be back anytime soon, whether it be Money in the Bank or even at SummerSlam. He may not be. But yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
I mean, Caesar, Roman. They're trying to play off the Roman first name with Caesar. I mean,
I didn't even think about that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So you would have a Solo Sikoa and a Caesar Sikoa, like two different people.
I would not do that. I would. I mean,
Okay.
I could see why people would speculate that. I would not have a Solo Sikoa and a Caesar Sikoa. I would just have Solo go by Caesar Sikoa, either as a nickname. If they want to change his name, then maybe. But he's already been Solo Sikoa for so long. Why change it? I think as a nickname, Caesar Solo Sikoa, I think sounds kind of cool. But that's just what I would do personally.
Yeah, it makes sense because now if he feels he's the head of the bloodline, he's the top dog now. Now
Exactly.
He needs a Solo doesn't sound like the ruler of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Caesar Roman sounds like, all right, I run this whole shit, not you. So I mean, we'll see. But I did see the Solo pop out and they attack Cody, and I think that you said that they're gonna develop this 6-man tag for, I would assume, Money in the Bank. Overall good match between Cody and AJ. I did not like AJ just quitting like that. Because I've seen some other I Quit matches, and it took a lot more than for those guys to quit. For Mick Foley or Randy Orton or whatever. Like, it took a while for you to quit. Not like I'm in the corner, got some steel steps. So that was the only part. New tag champions on the women's side. You just mentioned Fire and what's the other girl? Jesus Christ.
Isla Dawn. Listen, I don't blame you. They weren't
Fire and Dawn. There you go.
Before winning the championships, they did not feature. They were not featured on television. They were called up from NXT a year ago. They have done absolutely nothing. I can't even recall a single match they have won on fucking television since they were called up beyond Clash of the Castle. It was a cool moment for them to win in their home country, but and the match wasn't great. But I thought it was a cool moment for them. It's just we've been given no reason to care about these belts, and we have no reason to believe that these two women should be taken more seriously now that they're champions. I think Alba Fire in particular is very, very talented. Having watched her runs in NXT and NXT UK, I could tell you she's great. I don't know if this is going to be her stepping stone to get to that next level. It's better than not being on TV at all. I'm honestly kind of more intrigued by where Jade and Bianca go from here. Do they go on to feud with each other? Do they go on to turn on each other? Is that coming as soon as tonight? I don't think so. Are we getting a SummerSlam match between the two? Do they just get the belts back? I think they probably will lean towards the latter. But it's very possible that their team might be coming to an end on the sooner side, and we are getting that one-on-one match relatively soon.
I think for me, I would be shocked if they pulled that trigger so early because obviously they haven't been showing any disconnect or dissension or lack of chemistry. So to see that happen again, I wrote it down. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are both in their home country, but I'm like, okay, I get it, but what do you do with Jade and Bianca now? It's only June, and if you're trying to build this potential one-on-one matchup, you are far from that happening. You talk about WrestleMania or Royal Rumble time, you are months ahead of time.
Maybe.
But do they get the belts back? I know SmackDown's going to be in the Garden next week, so could that be a moment? But like, you can't split them up now.
I mean, well, you could. I wouldn't personally, and it's not even just so because you mentioned the Rumble and WrestleMania. They could do the match at SummerSlam if they want to. Do I think that's too soon? I do. Is there much of a division to speak of within the women's tag teams? There's not. So, I mean, they've already beaten Candice and Indy. They've already taken on Zoe and Shayna. They've beaten Damage Control. The Kabuki Warriors, they've now have faced Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, not 2-on-2. So, again, they still have that match to do. Maybe we get the rematch at Money in the Bank. That's the thing, too. If they go back after the belts, and they should, I cannot see Isla Dawn or Alba Fire pinning Bianca or Jade Cargill. And if they do, they would be pinning Bianca. I just can't see that happening. I guess they could. I'm not expecting that, though. So, honestly, more so my concern is with Jade and Bianca. I'm kind of more so concerned with them breaking up for Jade's own progress in the ring. Because I think so far from what we've seen, she's had maybe a couple singles matches, actually. Because she had a match with Nia Jax on SmackDown that actually was not awful. It was okay. Actually, I'm thinking of the Nia Piper Niven match. That match was better, I think is what it was. But Jaden Bianca or Nia had a match in the Queen of the Ring tournament. I think Jade beat someone else as well. I forgot who it was. Maybe actually, I'm sorry. It was Jade and Piper Niven who had a match, and they had a pretty good match in the first round, and Jade won. That was about a month ago. But the tag team stuff, from what I saw on Saturday last week, it wasn't great. I don't know if she's just not used to being in a tag team or what it is. But I mean, the ropes were also kind of faulty as well. I had seen that too. I just don't know if she's ready for a big, significant, aggressive singles push. So I wouldn't break up the team for that reason alone, honestly, anytime soon.
Yeah. Now, listen, that's the point that kind of threw me off. I'm like, I mean, I don't think anybody's hurt where they got to drop the belts. You are in this summertime mode where you are building towards Money in the Bank, towards SummerSlam. You want to get these main events out there, but I think they'll get the belt soon. I think they get it back because from a fan perspective, it's like, all right, you're already telling the fans, all right, they lost the belt. Now we're gonna get Jade and Bianca sometime soon, right? It's already programmed in their minds. But now, if you put the belts back on them, some fans might be like, "Oh, come on, man! I want the 1-on-1." Now it's like, all right, the second go around as tag champions may not be as well accepted as the first time go around. So it's like now you're telling the fans it's only a matter of time before you pull that trigger. But like SummerSlam too early, Survivor Series no. Royal Rumble, that's when you put them in the ring together and do what they did last year to spark off former tag champions going out in the Rumble. Then you spark off this 1-on-1 match for Mania. But it was very weird. Like, can they put the belts back on them? Sure, just a matter of time. But I was like, whoa, they fucking lost the belts, but they did not get pinned.
Yeah.
So that was the most important part. But still, like, why would they drop the belts so fast? They had it, what, 2 months, 3 months?
Not even. They had it for about a month and a half. They only won in early May at Backlash. Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been longer, but yeah, they didn't hold them for very long. But here's the thing, though. I honestly don't really mind it for a couple of reasons. One, they had to have someone from Scotland win on that show. Drew did not win. He was probably not going to win. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Piper Niven was never going to win, and she did not win. I think it would have been pretty shitty if they didn't have anyone from Scotland win on that show. And I feel like if any match made sense to do it, it was that one. The Drew one would have been a great moment, but booking wise, he was never going to go on to face Gunther at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. And you don't have Drew just lose it right back to someone else in Money in the Bank. That would have been fucking stupid. So I think they made the right call. Like you said, Jade and Bianca were not pinned. That's totally fine. And also, too, I think it's nice to do short-term title runs. I'm not a big fan of day-long title runs, but I like longer title runs. But not everyone needs to be champion for 8 to 6 months, 6 to 8 months. I think we can benefit from, like, if Cody, he didn't, but if he had lost the championship to AJ Styles for like 3 weeks and then Cody got it right back, I would have been totally fine with that. The issue with people like John Cena and Randy Orton, and not so much Triple H back in the day, but like especially Cena. That guy's a fucking 16-time, 15-time world champion or whatever it is, because he would win the belt and then he would drop it like a week or two later and then get it right back. But they did it all too often. They did it way too often. There were a couple of different periods where he was champion for like a year, 6 months. Most of those runs were like a month, 3 weeks, 5 minutes. Like, I don't want to go back to that shit. But you can get away with it for, on a couple different instances. For example, they did it at WrestleMania. Drew won the World Heavyweight Championship, lost it in 5 minutes, and that whole thing made sense, and they've been able to build off that ever since. Jade and Bianca, putting them back in chase mode for a little while might be totally fine. They can't be completely dominant. They weren't pinned. They can get the belts back. They can extend the story until, when you said, WrestleMania next year, the Rumble, whatever it might be, even later on this year. So I'm totally cool with it. I mean, it just depends where they go with it, and they've had us talking about it, and they have us questioning where they might be going with it next. And I think that's what they kind of want, especially with the women's tag titles, which people typically don't talk about because they just don't really matter.
Yeah. Sami Zayn still IC champion. I would have wanted Chad Gable to finally win this shit already. But not in the cards, buddy. Not in the cards. No time soon for Chad Gable. I did see that Bayley retained the title against Piper Niven, which I did not see that match. And then we get to the main event with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, which I did not see. I saw a couple highlights on social media, and I kind of, saw Punk get involved. How was the match overall? I am going to go check up on it, but how was the match overall? And I think Punk, when he interfered, obviously you're in Scotland, so they're going to boo Punk. Punk is supposed to be the good guy in this. And Drew is a bad guy, but now it's reversed because you're in Drew's home country.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like we're on the path where Drew is. I mean, Drew still gets cheered. It's weird. Is he a tweener? Is he a bad guy? What is Drew right now?
So that's what I like about this thing is
Yeah.
that specifically with Drew, I think he's probably the best character in the entire company. And he has been for probably the past 9 months now because he turned heel, not really because, oh, like fuck the fans. It's more so like I was fucked out of my moment a couple of years ago at the first Clash, actually. And I was never really given a fair shot to get it back. He won the World Heavyweight Championship clean as a sheet of Mania, and then he was screwed out of that too by Punk and by Damian with the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So the guy has a point. It's just kind of more so if you cheer me, cool. If you don't like me, I don't care. And it gives me big, and I wasn't watching back then, but from the stuff that I've seen, it gives me Diesel energy from like 95, where like he was champion and he was kind of like a tweener. He was a babyface champion. He was champion for a year, but it was like, if you're a fan of mine, then cool. I'll give you like, I'll give you the fist bump or whatever. If you're not, then you're dead to me sort of thing. I mean, that's kind of the character that he was portraying there for a little while. And I feel like that shade of gray, you can't deal with everyone, but I feel like with Drew, it works. I would definitely classify him more as a heel than a babyface. Like he's out there whining and complaining and quitting and shit like that. Punk isn't a saint from a character standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think that's the dynamic they're going for is Drew is the heel. Obviously in Clash in Scotland, he was the babyface was Drew because they were in his own country, but that was the reaction they were expecting. They wanted people to boo because it was a cheap finish. Punk fucked them over. And then honestly, going forward, you could cheer for whoever you want, although Drew, I assume, will be the full-fledged heel. And it's not even like Drew didn't deserve it either. I mean, he attacked Punk, cost him months of his career, has been shit-talking him for months. Punk comes back, cost them the World Heavyweight Championship. They just keep going back and forth. It's a great feud. They're doing a great job of getting people excited for that first match, which at this point I would have to assume is going to be happening at SummerSlam. I know that's the internal report rumor right now, but I mean, even just from watching the show, I could tell you that's probably where they're going with this, is that first match at SummerSlam.
So now, when they do that, you're now on the path to Drew and Punk, which we both felt for a while for SummerSlam. And the World Heavyweight Championship picture, you have Gunther waiting for SummerSlam. But now you plug in Seth Rollins coming back on Raw. He gets a world title shot right off the gate for Money in the Bank in July against Damian Priest. So now, does Seth Rollins walk into SummerSlam to face Gunther for the world title? Does Damian Priest walk into SummerSlam for the world title against Gunther? Like, where do you think they are going, and where do you think they should go? Because now, when nobody knew Seth was coming back, I think Seth was like, "Oh shit!" Like 2 months he was gone. Got a good reaction. I don't think he. I mean, if he was gone to like maybe January, you might get more of a pop. Oh shit, Seth! But I just saw him 2 months ago, so it didn't feel like like that crazy. But regardless, big pop. Surprise! He's coming back already. So where do you think they go towards SummerSlam? Is it Priest and Gunther or Seth Rollins and Gunther?
So as soon as Seth came out, I also thought he would be out longer. I think everyone thought he would be out longer. And ideally, would he or should he have been gone for 6 to 9 months? Yeah. But here's the other thing, though. You look at Raw right now, especially going into Clash, very heel heavy. You got Damian, you got Gunther, you got Drew, all kind of feuding with each other. They're all fucking heels. And Punk's out hurt right now. Cody's the top babyface in the company, but he's on SmackDown, and Seth's out hurt. So they have a couple good heels or baby faces in the mid card, like a Sheamus and Ilya Dragunov and Sami Zayn, but no one at the main event level right now. They needed a baby face, and Punk's on his way back, but he's not going to be full time. And it's not like he was. I mean, apparently, if he's cleared to go, and obviously he is, if they announced him and Priest for Money in the Bank, I wouldn't actively keep Rollins gone for that long if he can go right now. I mean, the whole reason why he took time off, which I'm glad he did, even if he wasn't hurt, because his character was kind of stale there towards the end. He was hurt. I mean, he suffered the torn meniscus at the beginning of the year. He had surgery. Didn't think he'd be back this soon. I didn't think it was even possible. I assume he had the surgery. I know Becky said that. Maybe she was lying. Who knows? But as soon as Seth came out, I said to myself, there's a pretty good chance he wins the World Heavyweight Championship and Money in the Bank. And then a couple minutes, I'm thinking to myself, I think there is a great chance, as in like he is my current pick to walk out of Money in the Bank as the World Heavyweight Champion. With the reason being that I think just on paper, you look at like what's the more appealing, the sexier match to do at one of their biggest pay-per-views. It is Rollins and Gunther, which they teased back in January compared to Gunther and Damian. Gunther and Damian, I'm sure, would have a really good match. But if Damian's not a full-fledged babyface by then, and they just did a heel versus heel match in Drew and Damian, I get that. But it also benefited from Drew being from Scotland and the crowd was behind him. Damian and Gunther on paper is just not as big as Rollins and Gunther. That's just a fact. I feel like it would be a better match, and the match would also be great with Damian and Drew or Damian and Gunther. But Rollins and Gunther is the match to do, because even if Rollins loses against Damian, what do you do with him at SummerSlam? Do you kick off his next feud? If so, who is that? Braun Breaker's busy right now, so I don't even really know who that would be. I think Judgment Day might accidentally cost them the World Heavyweight Championship to set up maybe Damian and Finn Balor at SummerSlam. That's where I think they're going with this.
Mm-hmm. You know me, big Damian guy.
I think he's great. I think he's had a good run.
I think honestly. He's good, getting better in the microphone, getting more comfortable. But you start seeing, all right, Gunther is there in August. Oh, man, that's a tough draw for Damian. Oh, shit, Seth Rollins. Oh, man, that's big. Because then the question is, what do you do with Seth if he does lose? Well, what do you do with Drew with Damian? Like, and plus the Money in the Bank actual ladder match, we don't know who's going to be in it. Some are saying they got qualifying matches going on, and everybody's saying Jey Uso is going to win the whole shit, which I could see that. But I mean, this is a good problem to have because you have multiple options to go for the World Heavyweight Championship. There is obviously Drew. All in all, Drew, Punk, Gunther, Seth, Jey Uso, Damian Priest. You got 6 guys that can walk out world champion tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, do I want to see Damian and Finn Balor to kind of put an end to Judgment Day? Okay, I get that story. But then like is Seth gonna win it in July and then drop it in August? Is Gunther, no matter who it is Gunther walking out SummerSlam world champion? That's the question.
I would definitely do that. I know they have Bash in Berlin a couple weeks later. I think it'd be stupid to have Gunther lose at SummerSlam just to win it at Bash. I mean, I know they'll be in Germany and like it'll be a big pay-per-view and whatnot, and that's cool. But why? I mean, I know to have him win it there would be the ideal thing, but you already announced whoever wins King of the Ring is getting the title shot at SummerSlam. Whenever Gunther first goes for the belt, he should win it in that first match. He should not lose. I mean, I guess they could do that. I would not do that personally. I think he will beat Rollins, Damian, whoever for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, as he should, and then hold on to that belt for at least a little while.
No, I agree, but I think SummerSlam, I think even Money in the Bank is going to turn out to be really a good show. I think Jey Uso is going to win that Money in the Bank contract. I don't know who else is going to be in it because, you know, they always do qualifying matches for King of the Ring and Money in the Bank is like, all right, but I think Jey Uso is leading the pack for that.
He is.
Who else is in his qualifying matches?
So we got 2 qualifiers tonight on SmackDown. I think it's Grayson Waller, Andrade, and Kevin Owens, I think. And then another one is Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, and Tama Tonga. So of those 2 matches tonight on SmackDown, I would think maybe Owens and Orton don't get factored in because they're busy. What? If they're doing the 6-man tag team match of Money in the Bank, then they will not win those qualifiers. So I think Carmelo Hayes wins his match, his qualifier against Tama Tonga and Orton. And then the other one, probably Andrade. I don't think Waller, he's one half of the tag team champions. I mean, I guess you could, but I would put Andrade and Hayes qualifying. And then Jey Uso just qualified. The other men's one they announced for Raw coming up this week, Gable was replaced. They announced Gable, Braun Strowman, and Bronson Reed. Gable would have been my pick to advance, but he got murdered on Monday by the Wyatt Sicks. And he's out of the match apparently. He was replaced by Dragunov. I would have Dragunov advance and have Bronson and Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. A lot of Brauns and Braun Breaker too.
That's right.
I would have them feud on their own. So that's what the field is looking like as of right now.
Yeah, I think Braun Breaker should be in it. I don't know if he has a qualifying match or not, but I think he should be in it. You know, he did take out Ricochet, and the rumor is Ricochet is done with the company. We just don't truly know. I think that's the rumor. Maybe they'll get him back, new contract, but I kept seeing that was his last Raw, last week, last match. He dropped some belt on Speed, so it was like, okay, maybe he's not coming back. Maybe he has to renew the contract, and Then you don't see Samantha Irvin doing the matches, so maybe it is a storyline. We don't know, but um, would you want Ricochet to come back, and do you think he needs to go somewhere else?
I think he needs to go somewhere else. And that's someone who I think Ricochet is tremendous, but I feel
Mhm.
like for now he's at his ceiling in WWE. Now, that's not to say his spot in AEW would be much better.
Oh yeah.
They have such a deep roster. He would probably get lost in the shuffle. But if nothing else, it gives him more to do that he hasn't done before. He's never worked for AEW. And in AEW, he can face some old opponents like Will Ospreay. They had an amazing match many years ago. They can rip it up again in AEW, maybe even at All In at Wembley Stadium. Among many other people, there's more fresh matches for him to be had in that company compared to WWE, where he's really just been a stepping stone for the longest time. He's over. He's had success. Like you said, he's a speed champion, Intercontinental champion, United States champion. He's won several tournaments, North American champion, NXT. He's had a pretty good run overall. He's not going to main event in WWE. He's not going to main event in AEW as like a full-time main event. I'm not talking the one-off like Raw main event. I'm talking he's not going to win a world championship in those two companies. Maybe in TNA, but that's about it. I feel like him getting some fresh scenery, a change of scenery for him would be really beneficial. I think he'd be really, he would really benefit from that. So hopefully that's what happens. If he sticks around in WWE, what do you even do with him? I mean, honestly, like I think the guy's great. But he's faced a lot of the WWE guys. He's lost to a lot of the WWE guys. They've done most of the matches they can do. And he's just there to do the high-flying spots. And I think he would get more screen time in WWE than he would in AEW. But at least if he's in AEW or outside of WWE, he can do New Japan again. He can do AEW, maybe try out TNA, who WWE is now working with anyway, apparently, obviously. A lot more stuff he can do. So I think Ricochet leaves. I think he should leave. And then who knows? He could be back in 5 to 6 years anyway.
Damn, 5 years, Graham? Damn.
Is that too long or too little?
I mean, yeah, shit.
Dude, he could be back in 3 years. I'm just saying, I think
he could be back next month.
No, I don't think he's I think they wrote him out for a reason. I think if he comes back, I'd be like, dude, like honestly though, it's more a matter of like we speculate about it. If he's happy in WWE, his wife works there. If he's making a shit ton of money and he enjoys working there, who am I to say where he should go? I'm just saying from a fan standpoint, I think it'd be cool to see him utilize, not to his full potential necessarily, but I get more of a chance to showcase what he can do outside of WWE, because I don't think he might get that opportunity in WWE anytime soon. He's got to leave in order to come back and feel fresh again. Currently, he does not feel fresh. He is stale. He's been doing the same shit for years now. He's Ricochet. He's an attraction, but I feel like he can be a bigger attraction outside of WWE, and I can't miss him unless we're gone. So I feel like he's got to go and then come back.
Yeah, and he needs to leave, start his own promotion, and then come back like Cody Rhodes. You know what
I mean? he ain't finishing that story.
You said 5 years, and Cody came back. Cody left what year?
He was gone for 6 years. I said 5-6 years. Yeah,
bro, that shit didn't even feel like 6 years.
Yeah, he left in 2016 and came back in April of 2022. So yeah.
Wow. All right. My man Noob chimed in. Braun Breaker is pretty much in the Money in the Bank. Yeah. I think it's gonna come down to him and Jey Uso. I know Graham is hell bent on Jey Uso not becoming a singles champion.
That's not true.
You said was it heavyweight champion?
It is heavyweight champion. Here's the thing, though. I don't see him as a long-term main event world title guy. I think, honestly, I mean, I know Jeff Hardy's held many world championships. I was thinking about like this yesterday. He kind of feels like the modern-day Jeff Hardy, where he was challenging a lot for top titles, but never really fucking won. And whenever he did, he'd hold the belt for like a month. Because Jeff was always the perfect underdog, chaser. The only company he had like an elongated world title reign in was in TNA, and that was it. Because he was a bigger fish in a smaller pond over there. So, I mean, Jey Uso, if he were to win Money in the Bank, here's the thing. That's totally fine. That would be a great choice. He's got to actually win it, though. He's got to actually win the world title. None of this bullshit where he challenges for a championship and loses. At some point, he has to win something of significance. I could see him as a U.S. champion. I want to see him as the IC champion at some point. He could beat Braun Breaker for the belt. If Braun Breaker beats Sami Zayn for the belt, who knows? But I think it would just make sense if you have Jey Uso win Money in the Bank. And then I've seen people say it could be Gunther, got to get the win back, whatever. That's fine. Jey Uso should not be champion, I don't think, for more than a couple of months. I don't think he needs to. I know Kofi Kingston was champion for 6 months. He had a good run.
Yeah.
But Jey Uso is also more over than Kofi was at that point and during that entire run. I think you can get a couple months out of Jay. I just don't think he's a solidified long-term main event guy as a world champion. Just my opinion, though.
So I would say watch out for a few things. I think New would agree with me. If Jey Uso is in Money in the Bank, which I think he will be, you got to pay attention to how the card is laid out. Because if that men's Money in the Bank ladder match is like first on the card, the possibility of like Uso winning at the beginning of the night and then cashing in later on in the same night could happen. I've seen it before.
Well, they've done it. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't do that, actually, because we've seen it so many times.
Right. So that option kind of played out. Does he, if he wins in July, the Money in the Bank, does he cash in at SummerSlam? Probably too short of a time.
Yeah.
We're not doing WrestleMania. That happened twice already. Not doing WrestleMania. So your options are the same night, SummerSlam. You ain't doing like an overseas thing, Bash in Berlin. I don't know. Because no matter what, he ain't catching it on Cody Rhodes. It's gonna be on the.
It'll be on Raw. Yeah, it would be the World Heavyweight Championship.
Survivor, nah. Royal Rumble could be something.
It could just be on Raw, really.
You would want Jey Uso cashing in on Raw?
It has to make sense. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what the landscape looks like in 6 months from now. We don't know who's on what brand. I mean, hopefully it stays the same. We don't know who's hurt. We don't know who's around.
Yeah.
Who's the world champion. Here's the thing. I would not do the same night because they've done that a lot. Like too many times. They've done that like fucking 4 or 5 times, which is 4 times too many. I would not do that. I would not do SummerSlam because they've done that a lot too, in the men and the women. I wouldn't do that. I would not do WrestleMania for the same reason that you said. So it would be one of the other options. But the problem at that point, though, is he going to cash in on Gunther? If Gunther wins the title, and I think he will, like I said, at SummerSlam, does Gunther lose the belt in a month? I don't think so. I think that's fucking dumb. Jey Uso can hold on to the belt like Damian for like 8, 9, 10 months and cash in next year. I don't think he should cash in on Gunther at any point in the next like 4, 5, 6 months. If that's assuming he even wins. He might not even win. But I'm saying if he does, that's what I would do.
So if you're Jey Uso, before we move on, if you're Jey Uso, are you gonna be like the Rob Van Dam and tell your opponent ahead of time, I'm gonna cash in on you on this day, this time, we're gonna do it? Or you think he's gonna do like what everybody else does? Just run in, here's the briefcase, come on, ring the bell. He's a good guy now. Do you think he plays the professional role? I'm doing this with you on this day and time, this PLE, or if you're having a match, I'm gonna run in and take your fucking title.
Yeah, no, I would like to see the RVD thing because we haven't seen that all that often. Only a few people have done that. I think there's been 4 people that have done that. I mean, 2 of them no one remembers, but RVD, like you said, John Cena did it. Yeah, Cena did it on Raw and lost. Obviously, he did it the 1000th episode of Raw, and then the other 2 people, to my memory, Braun Strowman did it. He was Mr. Money in the Bank. He cashed. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to face Roman Reigns at the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view," and it ended in a no contest or whatever when Brock got involved. So a complete fucking waste of the contract anyway.
Or he lost.
Well, I mean, he didn't win the belt. He didn't technically lose, but he didn't win.
Yeah.
It was a no contest. That was stupid. So that was also an announced cash in. And then Big E, people don't really remember that because it was a great moment and people kind of remember the cash in. But he said at the show, at the start of the show, he fucking tweeted it, which was so lame, but they had him tweet it. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to cash in my contract tonight on whoever wins between Randy Orton and Bobby Lashley." Then Bobby Lashley retained. He cashed it on Bobby and won the belt. So it wasn't even shocking because people knew he was cashing in. But I think those are the only 4 instances. I know Kennedy said, "Oh, I'm going to cash in at Mania," and that obviously never happened.
That's my guy,
so I think.
Too.
What'd you say?
That was my guy. I felt Kennedy was going to be like that next.
Kennedy was like the LA Knight of like 15 years ago, I would say. Maybe. I mean, LA Knight was also. He's much more over than Kennedy ever was, but.
Yeah, but nah. The aura of Mr. Kennedy, I would take over LA Knight.
I think it's comparable, but I think that's debatable. But it's understood.
Your man came out there. He got in the middle of the ring. The arena turned dark. The microphone came down. He said, "Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. Kennedy." Like just that alone. Now, who's the better wrestler?
Yeah, no.
I mean,
no, I agree. Well, the better wrestler I think is LA Knight, but I think even aura, I'm saying that's not egregious. But I would debate even LA Knight would probably have even more energy. I mean, I think the aura goes along with who is more over, and LA Knight is just infinitely more over than Kennedy ever was as a heel or a babyface. But I think if you want to compare Kennedy and say that Kennedy has a better aura than LA Knight, I know we're going completely off topic here.
So what?
I love this shit. That's not that egregious because you are right though. Kennedy had the fucking microphone. He had the catchphrases, which WWE loves.
Too, bro. He
was working with all the top guys. He was a great heel. He in the ring, he was good enough. He just got fucking hurt all the time. But he had a great aura though. I would agree with that. He should have been more than what he was.
And for them to be on the same page, like so Kennedy was, I think, a U.S. champion. LA Knight
Kennedy was the U.S. champion for a little while, yeah.
For a hot minute. So he had the Batista, the Rey Mysterios, Undertaker, all that, Edge. So he was a SmackDown guy, but LA Knight has not held a championship yet. So Kennedy got 1, Knight got 0. So
he's about to win the United States Championship, hopefully.
Logan Paul.
What'd you say?
Logan Paul, right?
Yeah, and Logan Paul. I'm trying to think of Money in the Bank or at SummerSlam, probably SummerSlam. Right. But yeah, he is. Logan Paul is the current champion.
Look at new. Mr. Kennedy was awesome. Thank you.
Great theme.
He was. You know? I was sad when he got hurt and dropped the Money in the Bank and Edge cashing the same night on Undertaker. I was like, fuck, man, like. Major what if. That's a major what if.
The bummer with Mr. Kennedy is that I have always said because they've brought back so many of those era guys from that, like, I guess Ruthless Aggression. I always considered it post Ruthless Aggression, but MVP got that reaction at the Rumble. Carlito got that big reaction pop. John Morrison came back. Shelton Benjamin came back. Kennedy was like the only one they never really brought back. And he worked for other companies for a few years. He's not even really wrestling much anymore. I think he still does stuff. I think he has his own school. Just for that offer. I mean, it might be. I think it's too late now. I think people just wouldn't remember. But I always hope for like that Kennedy pop, and we just never got it. So, still, I would probably show up in the Rumble.
That SmackDown era, like
a lot of those sort of guys. Yeah,
that was a tough roster. Like
a lot of those guys. Yeah, they were just
0507. Kennedy, Batista, Taker. I think. Shelton Benjamin, MVP, Carlito, I said Batista, King Booker,
Finley,
Fit Finley, Jeff Hardy, the Hardys. I'm like, yo, you had just on SmackDown alone.
Well, I mean, both
Kurt Angle,
really, but yeah, Kurt Angle. I mean, some of those guys. Carlito had a great run on Raw. Edge, Umaga, he was more of a Raw guy, but
Bobby Lashley.
Good. Bobby Lashley, they had a lot of upper mid card guys that just never really got to that next level. But their mid card at that point, dude, was like stacked. They had a lot of, don't want to say his name, but Chris Benoit at a certain point, like 05, 06 was obviously great. Eddie Guerrero before he passed, and that was late 05. But they had a lot of good SmackDown and Raw as well. Like I said, Johnny Nitro, Benjamin, you mentioned him.
Yeah,
Jeff Hardy. A lot of good mid carders back then.
John Morrison was crazy, bro. Yo, I fuck with John Morrison. He was nice. He was dumb.
All those guys were over. They were good, and none of them really got to that next level. MVP. They all kind of never really got that ball to go to the main event level. Some of them probably wouldn't have cut it, but they never really got that chance. It was always just seen. It was always the bigger stars. That's how great the roster was back then. The main event scene was stacked on both brands. It was so stacked that those guys that should have been elevated never really got that opportunity because they were also really good at the mid card scene too. Throwing CM Punk after a certain point. The mid card was pretty great back then.
Before I move on to the final point of the Wyatt stuff, is Carlito fucking a part of Judgment Day? Like, what is he doing?
Officially, no, but he's okay. He's a friend of Judgment Day. He's an ally.
So like R-Truth. So R-Truth is was an outside ally. Now Carlito is an acquaintance of the Judgment Day. Like, why are you hanging out with these fucking guys?
It's a very similar story, but he's been playing the role really well, and it's gotten him on TV consistently, and I've enjoyed it for what it is. So I can't really complain. But I think he's been great though. He doesn't win a lot of matches. I know he won on Monday's Raw, but it's better than him not being on TV at all. So I think he's been doing it really well, and he's also a better heel than a babyface anyway.
Oh yeah, 100%. Other wrestlers from the Ruthless Aggression era should have gotten that reaction in today's Chris Masters, Mike Knox, Trevor Murdoch. Trevor, that's a throwback name.
He's throwing the NWA roster out
That's
there
a
right now.
throwback name.
Chris
right there.
Masters, I think he should have gotten more of an opportunity. Mike Knox sucked. Trevor Murdoch was okay. I was more of a Lance Cade guy, but he died.
Cade and Murdoch. Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a throwback tag team. So yeah, man, the wide stuff. So I noticed Raw ended a little early, and all I kept seeing, because I did not see it in real time. I saw it later on. Was the Wyatts are here, the Wyatt Sicks and Uncle Howdy, and I saw it and I see how it was laid out, and they debuted again. I'm not going by. I don't know what their names are, but I know it's Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy. I know Eric Rowan is in that mix. I know Nikki Cross is in that mix. Dexter Loomis is in that mix, and there's one more, Gracie, something like that.
Joe Gacy, yeah, he's from NXT.
All right, so who was that?
He's from NXT.
Okay, so we got five. It's 5 people.
5 people, yeah.
All right, so we've been seeing the glitches, we've been seeing the QR codes, and now it's finally here. Monday Night Raw. You see the Wyatt Sicks come out. What was your overall take of how they were portrayed? And then it's like the fear of like, what do you do with these people going forward? Because this can't just be a wrestling thing. It has to be the supernatural and stuff like that, like a Taker, like, you know, how do you, they got to be on thin ice with this. So now it's here. But now your thoughts on how it was played out, and now what do you do going forward?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought the whole thing was brilliantly shot, well done, executed. And I know obviously you're a big Bray guy, so I know you liked it as well. That is the big question. I want to just enjoy it for right now. I don't want to, I mean, we will question it, but as far as like I saw Meltzer, like, oh, this isn't going to work. And he's not even necessarily wrong, but it's like, bro, just like admit that it's fucking cool for like 5 minutes, and then we can deal with that like next week. I don't know. Like, as a wrestling angle, I don't even anticipate this being great long-term, because like every time they try the supernatural shit, it just doesn't really work. And you also have to ask yourself, it's wrestling. So at some point, are they going to get in the ring? I would think so. Like, what do those matches look like? Did they just squash their opponents? Did they wrestle with the outfits on, with the masks on? Did they win championships? Like, they fucked up the Fiend real quick. I mean, he won the world championship at SummerSlam. I'm sorry, he debuted or returned at SummerSlam, whatever, and then won the world championship a couple months later. It was too soon. The Fiend character didn't need the Universal title. That Hell in a Cell debacle was just terrible. Ruined the Fiend character there for a little while, if not for good. And I honestly have no idea what you do with these guys. I don't know who they work with. I don't know what their end goal is. I have no idea. But I did think it was cool. I did think it was well done. And I think they can, get people talking, as they certainly did on Monday's Raw. And if nothing else, listen, unless it's actively terrible, I'm totally fine with them just honoring Bray Wyatt and finishing out this angle storyline story that he really never had a chance to finish up before he passed. And you got his brother involved, who already was Uncle Howdy anyway. So I'm just here for the ride, and we'll see where it takes us.
Okay, quick, before I get to more of that, do you think Braun Strowman should be a part of this? And how would you get him involved? Or do you say, no, these are my 5, this is my roster, and you deal with your shit on your own? Because in thinking like, all right, boom, thinking like, all right, the Priest is world champion, he might lose it, but Braun has been beefing with the Judgment Day for a minute. So all I'm saying, if you're gonna turn this to a wrestling angle, like if Braun needs help against Judgment Day, he knows who to call now, and those guys come on board. Like, that's the long-term thinking. But if there's no Braun Strowman involved, like, do you think he should get involved in this?
No, I would have been fine with him being a part of the faction initially, but now that we know who's a part of it, I don't think they need him. I think they have Rowan. Joe Gacy's a bigger guy, so they kind of have those two dominant people if they want to have like the monster, like the heavies monster, whatever. He's doing his own thing. I think Braun's doing really well in his current role. He's squashing people, he's running people over and shit.
Yeah.
Will it get old at some point? Maybe, but for right now, it's working, and it's been working since he came back to the company 2 years ago. He was out injured for a year, but he came back and he's picked up where he left off, and it's working. So the only other thing, I mean, I wouldn't put him in the group. What you could do, maybe, is have him work with them, like have him feud with them. Maybe the last like Bray Wyatt Braun feud we got a number of years ago during COVID wasn't that great. I mean, obviously this isn't Bray, this is his family. I don't know. I mean, maybe you really need to be selective with who the Wyatt Sicks work with, because it needs to be someone that can talk, that can work with them, make it work. I don't think Braun's that guy. I know the history's there, but I don't really think he needs to be a part of this. Maybe feuding with him, but probably not right now. I would rather see Braun Strowman work with someone like a Bronson Reed and help get a guy like that over personally. Alexa Bliss is another name people have speculated. I feel like she would make more sense because she was doing this stuff with Bray Wyatt before he passed and before he left. That would make more sense to me, but I don't know where she is right now. I don't even think they need another member, because I think obviously they're called the Wyatt Six with the number six, whatever. I think the implication is that the sixth member is Bray himself, is the spirit of Bray Wyatt, and that it's not like a case of, they're going to introduce a sixth member. If they were going to, they would have done that on Monday. Like, they introduced 5 people at once. They're not going to bring someone in later. They could bring in Alexa Bliss, and she's not ready to come back right now. I think the idea is the sixth member is supposed to be Bray Wyatt, and I think that's even cooler.
And Noob just said it. The question is, who is the sixth member? Some people say Alexa Bliss or the spirit of Bray Wyatt. Because I'm looking at who these people are and what role they're playing. So Nikki Cross is Abby the Witch. All right.
Mhm.
Joe Gacy is I guess Huskus the Pig. Eric Rowan, the Rambling Rabbit.
Yep.
All right. And then Dexter Loomis.
It's Mercy the Buzzard.
Mercy the Buzzard. And then obviously you have Uncle Howdy played as Bray Wyatt. I'm sorry, Bo Dallas. And that's what I'm saying. It will be cool if you get if you get Alexa Bliss as Sister Abigail. That's like the icing on the cake. Like, oh, now everything's in full form. But then it's like, this is going to be, and this is where fans got to really understand, like, this is going to be an entertainment kind of thing, where, like, I don't see Uncle Howdy going on fucking Raw next week and going in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. That's not happening. It just, you really got to be careful of how they portray these people, picking their spots. If it is going to be wrestling, maybe it's not in the ring. Maybe they won't ever get, I don't know, they to get in the ring and do a match. Like, is Uncle Howdy going to wear that mask on in the ring? No.
We don't know. I don't think so. But
I don't know. But you're going to see is Bo Dallas at some point. They can't wear the mask in the ring. So
we don't know. But that's the thing. We just don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, Bray as a Fiend, he wore the mask, right? In the ring?
He did, yeah. He didn't take it off.
That's crazy. You know how hot they must have been in that shit?
Pretty fucking hot, I would imagine.
Uncle Howdy mask is thick. That's a lot going on.
It's a different mask than the one he was wearing when he was last on the show, like a year or so ago. That was like a full-on fucking mask. This one, you could see more of his eyes. You could see more of his mouth. So maybe they did that for the idea that you will wrestle at some point. So we kind of need to have it be something that you can wear and work with. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. We have no idea. I just thought the angle was cool. Like, it was just really well done. You don't really, definitely one of the coolest endings to Raw I've seen in a long time, if not ever. One of the best debuts I've ever seen, too. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, no. It was laid out. It was like you're watching a horror movie on a fucking wrestling channel. Then the thing is like, all right, how do you combine both? Where you already know how everything fucked up with Bray, with that whole thing, the Fiend, and you don't want to do the same mistake twice. And this is a different company than 4 or 5 years ago when he was a Fiend. But just the writers involved, are you having wrestling writers in there? Are you having TV writers do this? Like, this is going to be a lot. And you can't do everything so fast. And it can't be, Eric Rowan got a match next week against fucking, Finn Balor. We can't do that. So it's on hold for now. I like it. I like the portrayal of it. I know you said I want to enjoy something more than just a week, and people say, "Oh, they're gonna shut it down. It's terrible." Let's enjoy it, but very intriguing on how they go with this going forward.
I think so. I'm looking forward to it. I think it has potential. I think it'll be cool. So maybe it ends up being awful. I don't know, but like I said, I'll enjoy it for now, and I'm glad that Bray Wyatt's ideas they're seeing them through. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because before I let you go, like people, like when they did Kane and Taker, Kane, he got burned up in the fire as a young kid, and Taker, oh, my brother, this and that. Like Kane did not have a match. He debuted in October of '97. Did not have a match until March of '98.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm not saying I'm going to wait 8 months to get Uncle Howdy in the ring, but maybe you could. But it's like that's what Supernatural. You got the lightning, you got the this and that. Like, oh, now you got the spiritual stuff. Oh, okay, now you got to build a story. They can't just come out next week and start beating people up, and you got to find that right story. Could Judgment Day be that first story to kick off things? Maybe. But aside from that, I don't know what you do. But
I don't know. I mean, where do you go with them after almost killing people?
You're not gonna have Liv Morgan against Abby the Witch next week on Raw. Like, it ain't happening.
They need to find a good balance because they will need to wrestle at some point. Some of them do. I don't want them to wait 3 to 6 months. Like, they waited that long for Bray's first match, and it was like, I don't know if the guy was hurt. Like, we will never probably know, but like, they waited forever to put Bray in the ring, and it's like, maybe that was Bray's idea, but I'm like, dude, like, this is getting tiresome. Like, fucking go wrestle. Like, it's a wrestling company. You need to wrestle at some point.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Fiend, that also they dragged that on for a long time too, but he wrestled more consistently than, I don't know. Bray had that one match and it wasn't even that good. And then obviously that was it for him during that run last year, but they can't wait 6 months is my thing. We've already waited 2.5 months for them to finally debut. Maybe they can have their first match at SummerSlam. I doubt it. They'll probably wait until like October, but it's like, I don't want them out there talking or the creepy vignettes or maybe murdering people is kind of cool, but it's going to grow old at some point until you wrestle because it is a wrestling company at the end of the day. Yeah. You need to do that at some point.
Poor Chad Gable, man. Poor Chad Gable.
Yeah. Guy can't catch a break.
I mean, listen, you said October pay-per-view. Like, do they still do Hell in a Cell?
No, but did you hear the rumor? They're going to be excited about this.
Halloween Havoc.
No, NXT already does Halloween Havoc, but the rumor is that on the
Bad Blood.
They're bringing back Bad Blood reportedly.
Ooh.
On the exact anniversary of the first ever Bad Blood between Shawn and Taker, Hell in a Cell. And they're considering doing Hell in a Cell on that show, which would probably, I would imagine, going back to Punk and Drew, would be a Hell in a Cell match. That is fucking cool. That is right up your alley because you like anniversaries, you like Bad Blood. That would be awesome. Because Hell in a Cell, they should not do the pay-per-view. But as a match on that show, on the anniversary itself, falls on a Saturday, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
I am looking at it now. Hold up. Give me 1 second before I let you go. Bad Blood, back for 2024. Rumors swirl about the possible return in October and Hell in a Cell. Hot on the heels of the masterpiece that was the debut return of Uncle Howdy, there's now a credible rumor that the promotion is looking to bring back the Bad Blood Premium Live event in October and potentially headlining the match of Hell in a Cell. Listen, I'm all for it. Give me Bad Blood in October. Never was a fan of Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view. It's better off as like the culmination of a feud. That means if you do that, then I know Survivor does War Games after, so they might get in. I think they'll get involved in that as opposed to a War Games match because I don't think that makes sense. But yeah, I'm down for Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell. Give me all of that. Give me all of that.
I think so. I think that'd be a great idea.
Are we missing anything else, Graham?
No, I think that's it.
Nothing on the AEW side.
They got some good stuff going on. They got Forbidden Door next weekend. Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, AEW World Championship should be good. The Owen Hart Cup kicking up soon. Starting actually, it already started on Wednesday, so nothing overly eventful, but they got some good stuff coming.
Hold up, one quick thing, Noob. Last one, Noob. Here we go. Drew Punk Yeah, gonna main event Bad Blood in the Hell in a Cell.
I think so too.
Yeah, because they start off in August. September is what, Berlin?
That's August 31st.
Okay, so SummerSlam and Berlin in the same month.
Yeah, August is SummerSlam is August 3rd.
So September is what? Nothing?
Nothing. I mean, you don't really need one though. I mean, especially lately, they've had so many shows and they've all been good, but they've all had 3-week intervals. Like Backlash to King and Queen of the Ring, 3 weeks. King and Queen of the Ring to Clash, 3 weeks. Clash to Money in the Bank, another 3 weeks. Like, that's just excessive. They really should not have done Clash, but I know it's a whatever, international show, whatever.
Yeah.
I would not do one in September, especially if it's August 31st. That's basically September.
True.
Just at that point, wait until October 5th. 5-week build for Bad Blood. Wait another. I mean, they're doing Crown Jewel in early November. That's November 2nd. They already announced that a few days ago. That's a month later. Survivor Series, end of November. 3 weeks after that. They could do a December pay-per-view. They probably, honestly, they might, because I don't know if you saw the rumor yesterday that apparently they're looking at doing the Rumble next year in Indianapolis. That's the rumor.
I saw that, yeah.
And it would be on February 1st. So not in January. And I think they might be doing that on purpose because Mania, we know, next year is in April 20th. So they need to space it out. With I fucking hate that it's so late, but whatever. It is what it is. They might do a December pay-per-view to kind of space things out. Or maybe they bring back day one. I don't know. They did day one as a Raw thing last year. Maybe they bring back day one as a pay-per-view. Or New Year's Revolution.
That's right.
Just saying. I don't know. They have options.
And I mean, also with that in Indianapolis is that I'm reading that it's not only just it's a multi thing. A WrestleMania, there's a Royal Rumble, and a potential SummerSlam, not all in the same year, but that city's gonna get those events at some point in time, beginning with the Rumble in 2025. So
yeah,
I mean, it's a big stadium, Lucas Oil. Yeah, I mean, I don't want it back to back to back, but you got to spread things out. So, no, it's good. It's funny, like CM Punk's gonna come back from a long injury, and within 2 months, all right, buddy, you good? This is good now. All right, you're gonna go into Hell in a Cell now.
He said during the post-show press conference, I mean, he sounded legit to me. He's like, I'm not fucking doing Hell in a Cell. Someone asked him, and people were trying to argue with me on it. Yes, he did say he didn't want to do a Hell in a Cell match, his first match back, because it doesn't make sense as a first match in the feud.
Yes.
But what I'm also saying is, and people didn't understand what I was trying to say, what he also said in that thing and what he made it sound like was that he didn't want to do one at all, or a ladder match, because he's like fucking 45 and he doesn't want to crumple the dust. He's already had 3 major injuries in 2 years. So I don't blame him if he doesn't want to do Hell in a Cell, but wrap him up in fucking bubble wrap and, put him in there because it makes sense.
CM Punk, man, do one Hell in a Cell match and that's it, bro. That's all we need. I don't think you're doing Money in the Bank either. So yeah, Hell in a Cell might be like your first major structured match coming back. So yeah, you gotta do one. You gotta do one.
Fuck it.
I think every top major wrestler, heavyweight, has done Hell in a Cell at least one time.
I mean, he's done it too. Multiple times.
CM Punk?
He's had 3, at least 3, 4 actually, I think.
Wow.
He faced Taker inside the cell. He faced Cena and Del Rio inside the cell. He had 2 Hell in the Cell matches with Ryback. So he's had at least 4 cell matches. I love the fact that
Drew never done it.
Who?
Drew.
No, Drew did too. He had a Hell in the Cell match a couple years ago with Orton.
Oh, I mean, was it worth it? Like, was it like? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
They were feuding for a while, so that one actually did make sense. And then, Orton won, and then he lost the belt back to Drew 3 weeks later on Raw. So maybe it wasn't. If it's not the payoff, if it's not the blow off, don't
exactly.
Do it. It wasn't the payoff with that, so don't do it.
No. Graham, don't want to take up too much of your time. You can find Graham Matthews on Twitter, X at WrestleRant. Great work for both Bleacher Report and Fansided. DDT, myself, Randy Cruz, RENDY. Letter JCRUZ on Twitter /X. Also Instagram and TikTok. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. YouTube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. show some love and support for your boys on the program. Also on TikTok at 2 out of 3 Falls Pod. We really appreciate your love and support. Graham Matthews, thank you, man. Love you, bro. Appreciate it, and enjoy your weekend.
Appreciate you, boss. I'll catch you on the next one.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too. Bye.
All right, bet.